It's that super no, she my flow. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's that
Boeing 747 retirement. Farewell to the Queen of the Skies. For the first time in 48 years, you can't buy a ticket on a U.S. airline to fly on a Boeing 747. On Wednesday, Delta Airlines Flight 9771 touched down in Marana, Arizona, an arid boneyard for stored and cannibalized jetliners. A 3-hour and 33-minute journey from Atlanta. The last of the airline's 16 jumbo Boeing 747-400s flew to a desert retirement, ending operations by passenger airlines in the United States. Both Delta and United Airlines have been saying goodbye to the jumbo for months. A final domestic revenue flight, a last international trip, a final charter. Those last trips became more of a farewell tour than a formal end. But Wednesday's departure on ship 6314 was the true grand finale. Pan American Airways debuted the enormous two-deck airliner in January 1970, and flights by U.S. passenger airlines have been flying uninterrupted ever since. The 747 was a marvel of engineering when it first flew months before the first moon landing in 1969. Earning the moniker Queen of the Skies, the 747 was postage stamp famous, an icon of pop culture, and the backdrop of movies, television, and a flying emblem of the U.S. presidency as Air Force One. Everybody stands up at the terminal and goes to the glass and they go, "That's a 747, said Captain Stephen Hanlon, 62, Delta's chief 747 pilot, who was in command of the final flight. 2 retirements. Another senior Delta captain, Paul Gallagher, was making his final flight, too. Gallagher, 64, was retiring with the 747 fleet. Has flown with Delta and its merger predecessor, Northwest Airlines, since 1983 and was a captain on the 747 for 18 years. Gallagher's last command flight had been the day before, flying a charter with Hanlon to get the Clemson Tigers football team back home to South Carolina. Paul called me up, said, "Hey, Steve, how about jerking gear for me? And he'll do the same for you going to the desert," said Hanlon. Jerking gear is a pilot euphemism for flying co-pilot and controlling the landing gear. Gallagher, Hanlon's friend of more than 30 years, was a first officer on the first 747-400 delivered to Northwest Airlines in 1989. Gallagher made the first commercial landing of the 747-400 when it arrived at the airline's then headquarters in Minneapolis after delivery from Boeing. http://edition. CNN.com/travel/article/Delta Boeing 747 retirement flight/index. HTML? Gallery equals 1. He had the first landing and I'm going to have the last landing, said Hanlon, who has been a 747 captain since spring 2000. Gallagher was just a few months ahead. Hanlon led the final walk-around inspection. shaking hands with fuelers and ground handlers who had looked after the airplane. Many came out to bid the plane farewell, even on an unusually cold Atlanta winter morning. It took a full 15 minutes to walk around the 231-foot, 10-inch-long jumbo. Endurance is what airlines wanted. While the sheer size of the 747 is its most famous attribute, that wasn't primarily why the 747 that attracted many of the world's airlines. Many bought jumbo 747s because of their incredible endurance. http://edition. CNN. com/travel/article/Delta Boeing 747 retirement flight/index. HTML. Gallery equals 3. After the jumbo cleared end of then runway, Gallagher called going around, the order to begin climbing again. There you go. Make it happen, said Hanlon. The four engines accelerated and the 747 climbed back into the sky for one last circle. 6 minutes later, the 18 wheels on the 747 touched the pavement on the runway and the half-million-pound airliner rolled to a stop passing the long row of Delta 747s already in retirement. "We'd like to welcome you to the Boneyard," said Stephanie Nelson, the trip's lead flight attendant. "Now we say farewell to the Queen, the last Queen. It's her last voyage, her last touchdown." http://edition. CNN. com/travel/article/Delta Boeing 747 retirement flight/index. HTML. Gallery equals 8.